Well, the weekend is here. New movies are hitting theaters, and film critic and our good friend Richard Roeper is here to tell us whether we should spend or save. Happy New Year!
First Friday of the movie year. Let's get to it.
Yes. Okay, so first up, Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks star in Steven Spielberg's movie about the Washington Post in a race to expose a massive cover-up of government secrets in the 1970s. Here's a clip.
The only couple I knew that both Kennedy and LBJ wanted to socialize with was you and your husband, and you owned the damn paper. Well, that's the way things worked. Politicians and the press, they trusted each other so they could go to the same dinner party and drink cocktails and tell jokes while there was a war raging in Vietnam.
I don't know what we're talking about. I'm not protecting Lyndon.
No, you got his former Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, the man who commissioned this study. He's one of about a dozen party guests out on your patio.
I'm not protecting any of them. I'm protecting the paper.
Okay, Rich, do we spend or save? We got two heavyweights there.
Right there. Big spend on this one, Val. Very interesting dynamic there because Meryl Streep is playing Kay Graham, the newly crowned publisher of the Washington Post. But a lot of the men in the boardroom didn't respect her. She really had to learn to stand up for herself. And Tom Hanks is playing Ben Bradley. And they're going, imagine this. There's a president in the White House who doesn't want the Washington Post to uncover the truth and is considering banning them from even covering him. Now, who do you think I'm talking about? It's huge, it's bigly, it's huge. So, I mean, even though it's set during the Nixon administration, obviously tons of real world parallels. But then you watch Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep working together. And this is a real love letter to the truth-seeking, heroic journalists who really do want to tell us what's going on in our world. The First Amendment, nothing more important.
Right. Well, I want to see this. Even before you told me this, when I saw the preview on TV, I'm like, I'm going to see that.
And Hanks and Streep, those crazy kids, finally getting a break.
I know.
They've never had a chance to do anything good in the movies before. Wonderful film.
All right, coming up next, this is Hostiles. It's a Western film about a legendary Army captain who reluctantly agrees to escort a dying war chief and his family back to tribal lands. Let's take a look at this.
The Army wants to be certain that the chief gets home to Montana safely without incident.
I don't have any idea. He's a butcher.
Then the two of you ought to get along just fine.
I've killed savages because that's my job. I hate them. I got a war bag of reasons to hate them.
This will be done, and it will be done by you.
Oh, okay. Do we spend or save on this one?
Well, this is a spend, but I got to let people know, Val, this is one of the most violent, brutal movies I've ever seen. And as you see there, Christian Bale, the great Christian Bale, and that's Wes Studi, who's a terrific Native American actor. He's being assigned to escort this chief back to his homeland for a sacred burial because the chief is dying. But he hates the Indians because he's been fighting against them. They hate him. It's set in the latter part of the 20th century, and I think it's very realistic. I think Westerns sometimes sugarcoat, you know, the amount of bloodshed on both sides, and there was a lot of bloodshed. But then, as you often see with warriors, mutual respect. But I'm telling you right now,
this is the one that's going to make me cringe because I can't take that.
Yeah, you know, in a lot of movies where someone gets shot and then the camera kind of pulls away, the camera never pulls away. So you have to know, one of the most intense movies I've ever seen, but very, very well done.
Okay, all right. Well, we got two spins so far, and finally, it's the fourth film in the popular horror franchise. Let's take a look at Insidious, The Last Key.
People who need help with matters that can't be explained come to me. These hauntings can be terrifying things. I've faced many evils in my life. The haunted house is my family's house.
I'm not a big fan of the scary movies, but tell them whether they should be spending or saving.
The Insidious chapters, they're kind of interesting. This is the fourth film in the franchise. I'm saying save on this one. It feels like we've seen all this stuff before.
Okay.
When are these people going to learn not to go down into the basement?
Hello.
There's nothing good in the basement.
Nothing good
and then, of course, they pull the curtain back and they don't see anything, and then they turn around and, there's the scary thing right there.
It's so predictable.
It's very predictable. I mean, it's well made and well acted, but I do feel like we've seen this so many times before with the creepy ghosts and everything, and it's like, you can take a pass on this one for sure.
Okay, so when you went to the screening of this, though, you saw something.
I gotta tell you that.
What? Tell me about it.
This drives me nuts. As you guys can see here, this is a very intense horror film. There are scenes of child abuse. There are scenes of women being shackled. There are all these crazy, scary creatures. and somebody there brought their 2 little ones. And I don't know, I can't say it was a mom or a parent. It was some sort of guardian, some sort of parent who decided to bring little ones. And you could hear the kids crying out at one point, being that scared by this movie. And I'm like, you know, PG stands for parental guidance. How about having a little guidance with the parental thing? Common sense,
How old were the kids?
I got a glimpse of one of the kids. There was a baby, and then there was one that was more like 8 or 9 years old, right about the age where you will be up in the middle of the night. I would never wish a nightmare upon a child, but if that mom gets somebody crawling into their bed for the next month because they got scared by the movie, it's her fault.
Oh, God.
Do not bring the kids. You know what? If you can't get a sitter, then stay home.
I think I might be that mom.
That mom. You have a couple of times talked about some movies where I'm like, what?
I know, but they love the scary movies more than I do.
As long as the kids are to the point where they understand it's a movie.
It's just a movie.
And they're not afraid, and that might be the case here, but to me it seemed like they were really upset about this.
Okay, well, I think I'm off the hook. I'm not that mom.
All right.
I'm not that mom, Richard
All right,
Roeper.
you're okay then.
All right, thank you for being here.